Hey guys, Matt with CJ Off-Road here. Today, as you can see on the table, we have got a wide variety of Diode Dynamics brand new Stage Series 3 lights on the table. Now, I was really excited to get our hands on them, and our friends over at Diode sent us pretty much all that they offer. These lights are absolutely incredible, and from what I'm told, they've been working for years on designing these. They feature an 8-year warranty from Diode Dynamics, as well as the customization to be able to mount them as a spotlight or something on your pillar, also to add them as a fog light to your existing bumper. Now, we're going to be installing these on a couple Jeep Wranglers as well as Jeep Gladiators to really show their effectiveness and go over the different models. Now, Diode Dynamics offers these in either a sport model or the pro model. When you go from the two, you pretty much double the lumen output as well as the power draw on your system. Now, we go everything from a spot, a flood, a driving, and then these are going to be sort of the fog light style here, where they do have the rounded bezel and it's going to match perfectly. I really like that you can purchase these as a fog light kit, which gives you all the connectors made up to plug right into your vehicle's factory fog light system. Now, with that being said, we're going to dive into one of these individually, show you how to get them installed on our Jeep, so let's get started. So the first light that we're going to be installing is the Diode Dynamics SS3 Sport in the yellow fog light configuration. Now, the yellow fog light configuration for each light has 9,050 candela power, features 91 lux for the illuminescence, and it will illuminate up to 190 meters. Now, with the yellow, you're going to feature 1,300 lumens out of each light for a combined lumen output of 2,600 lumens, as well as a 3000K color temperature. Now, you're also going to get the same finned design on the back that's really going to allow that heat to disperse out of there, as well as to get your bracketry and your plug and play, which is going to go right onto the back into that Deutsch connector. Overall, these lights feel extremely sturdy, so the first thing that we're going to do is pull off our factory front bumper, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. So now we're in front of our 2018 JL, and if you guys have been following along with this build, you know that we never had a stock bumper on here. So what we did today is actually rob this one off of the Gladiator parts that we've been taking off, and it has the factory LEDs, so we just bolted it up there quickly to make sure you guys can get a realization of what this looks like with a factory style bumper. One thing I will mention is that Diode's brackets for the fog lights will work with aftermarket bumpers that do have a hole in them and accept a factory style fog light. Definitely check the description on our website to make sure they will fit, and also make sure to look for that hole cut out for the fog light. The only thing we need to do to remove this bumper is grab ourselves an 18mm socket and a small extension, that way we can get the lower bolts. The top filler piece we do already have removed, and honestly, we pulled that off a long time ago and I haven't been able to find it. To get that off, you only need to use a trim removal tool. We'll show you a short clip now on how to do that. Just go ahead and pull the center section off first, and then go underneath, and you'll just pull up, and they'll pull out just like that. After you have those lower two pulled off, there's going to be 5 along the front of the bumper we need to pull off. Going to do the exact same thing. Just use your flathead, get underneath the centerpiece, pop that out. Then we can pull the cover right up and out of the way. We're going to use an 18mm socket, as I said before. We're going to use the extension for the outside of the frame rail, and then no extension for the inside. One thing I will remind you of is to remove the factory connection on the passenger side for the fog lights, and then the whole thing will move out as one piece. We're just going to go ahead and do it quick, pull this off over onto the table, and we're only doing this so we can show you guys how to remove the fog lights. You can actually access this just by removing a couple of the panels on the back that we'll show you in a little bit, but to give you guys a better representation of how to do it, we're going to pull the whole thing off. Once you have all the nuts removed from the front bumper, we're going to go ahead and disconnect the factory fog light connection. It helps to squeeze the connectors together and then depress on it a little bit, and it'll pop right out. And we can set these nuts aside and pull the bumper off. You have a table up here, and like I said before, you don't need to do all this. Once you see what I do next, you can be able to do it while it's still on the ground and while the bumper is still on your vehicle. So let's pull it off and set it on the table. So So as you can see on both sides, you're gonna have one of these filler panels, and you can do this while it's on the ground, but it is easier to see where everything is up here on the table. Go ahead and grab yourself a flathead screwdriver, and we can go around the border and remove all of these push pins by pulling the center section out. Or if you do have one of these handy removal tools, you pull the center about halfway out, and then you can pull the entire thing out. So we're gonna go ahead and do that with the rest of them here. Definitely save these for later. You will be reusing them. Then you have one larger one underneath here, holding onto your skid plate, or your air dam as they call it. So what you're gonna do, like you just saw guys, is just slide it out towards you. It does have to pop around this air dam here, but if you just slide it out towards the edge of the vehicle, we now have access to our factory fog light. Once you have your factory fog light exposed, we're gonna first disconnect this electrical plug up top by pushing in on the brown side, and it'll pop right out. You can push that to the side. Now the rest of these are gonna be 7mm bolts. We've got a 7mm socket, and we're gonna go ahead and remove them. As you can see, they aren't really on there crazy tight from the factory, so it'll only take a little bit to get them free. After about 2 turns, you can pretty much do these by hand. Definitely save these screws. You will be reinstalling them with the brand new Diode Dynamics lights. And once you have all the screws removed, you can pull your factory LED or halogen fog light out of its socket. Once you've got the bumper all disassembled and the factory fog light out of there, we're gonna go ahead and grab our Diode Dynamics light as well as the included fog light bracket. Now if you see here, there are 2 holes for the pins, and that's gonna simply slide over that, and that's where you're gonna mount your fog light. Now what I'm gonna do first here is actually mount the fog light to this bracket. So this portion with the holes for the pin is going to be the top, and then if you look at the front of the light, you have an SAE, that's gonna be at the bottom. So we're gonna slide it on like so, and we're gonna set that down on the table. Drop a lock nut into the slot. Actually, we can pop that off. Drop a lock nut into the slot there. One on the other side as well. And then this is gonna slide over it. You're gonna grab a 5/32 Allen head bolt that's included. Slap a washer on there. And if you look in through the side, you can actually just start to thread these right in. You don't need to put anything on the backside, like a wrench or anything, because it is molded and cast, that way it holds there perfectly. We'll do the exact same on the other side. And you do have a little bit of adjustability too, so you can figure out how far out you want it to stick, how far in, and then also some up and down. So we're just gonna go ahead and get these snugged up. Once it's on the vehicle, we can make some final adjustments. Use a 5/32 Allen key. I personally like them to be as far back as possible to avoid any obstacles. So we're just gonna go ahead and get them snugged up as far back as possible. And with those being on, we can now set this into place with the SAE 19 logo at the bottom by putting them into the factory location. Both pins. I'm just gonna get these all started here first. Then get them snugged up using a 7mm socket that we just used. So here you're gonna grab your adapter plug, go into the factory connection. You'll see there's a little notch here for it to click into. And then with that, we're now gonna plug it right into the Deutsch connector on the Diode Dynamics light. You'll hear a small click, and that's good to go. We're gonna repeat the exact same process on the other side. Throw that little plastic plate back on, and then see how they look in the Jeep. So here's a comparison of the factory LEDs compared to the yellow Sport fog lights from Diode Dynamics. Overall, I really do like the yellow here, and I think it's going to be great in dusty and more adverse conditions such as snow, rain, or anything inclement when you're driving around. They overall look really good, and they're throwing off a lot wider of a pattern, plus it's a thicker beam than the factory LED, so overall really nice and impressed by these. Well guys, that's a wrap on the installation of these Diode Dynamics SS3 yellow fog lights on our 2018 JL. Overall, I think the installation was pretty simple. We did pull the bumper off just to show you guys what you did, and I really hope that that'll help you leave it on here and just make it a little bit quicker for you. The connections were all plug and play, and as soon as I plugged them into the Jeep, they worked flawlessly. This is a halogen Jeep, so I wasn't sure how they were going to play with the ECU and all the electronics, but they're on, they're not flickering or anything like that, so there's absolutely no tuner or anything required for them. Now, if you're interested in any of these Diode Dynamics SS3 lights in any configuration, be sure to check out the wide variety on cjponyparts.com. And for all your latest Jeep and truck installations, be sure to stay tuned to our YouTube page. Hope you enjoyed that video. To stay up to date on our CJ Off-Road videos, make sure to subscribe up top here, and for any other installs, make sure to click the link right above.